Welcome to Journey Now, a podcast about following Jesus that takes on serious issues without ever taking itself too seriously. Each week, the pastors, staff, and friends of Journey Church in Brentwood, Tennessee, gather to catch up, share life together, and laugh a little. Okay, a lot. Maybe too much. But along the way, they also explore what it really means to bring heaven to earth, share Jesus' hospitality, and live cross-shaped lives. Part babble, part Bible, and occasionally even thoughtful and entertaining, this is Journey Now.
Oh, it's recording.
I think it's on.
Okay.
Welcome to the Journey Now podcast. We're special guests, Mike, Kevin Dixon, and Chris McClarney. We're special guest, Will.
Hey, special guest Will.
Now listen, we need to go over the roster today. So we got Seth Erre doing the intro.
Yeah. Yep.
School starts next week.
Yep.
So this is our last Seth Erre intro for a while. Yeah. And then obviously Sweet Kevin. Sweet Kevin. Yeah, we call him powdered sugar.
Yes. With my waffle.
Absolutely. No, just powdered sugar.
Just powdered sugar.
Chris McClarney, or
McClarney.
as other people know him, Chris McClarney.
Chris Andrew.
Yes, Chris Andrew Beret. But listen, we have some changes in the building. We've got an elder, Will
Sitting
McCauley,
in. Yes.
who is the censor for the network.
Yeah, he's got
Too many complaints.
He's got a
big
got a big red button over there.
And YouTube. And so Chris is taking over from
Grand Opperman.
Grant Opperman to do show notes, witty titles,
Yep.
Thoughtful edits and cuts.
Yes.
And we got big shoes to fill.
Yes.
Dude put a torch in my hand and ran away there.
He did. He ran away. Grant,
Yes.
you'll
He
never
put
hear this, but we love you.
Grant,
And thank you.
Grant
Appreciate
has
you.
stopped. Yes. And Grant, thank
Okay,
you for your years of service
Hold
as
on.
our show notes.
Grant loved us into this future.
But I'm pretty sure he's changing his name and relocating as a CIA agent
Yeah.
out in
I'm not
Arizona.
even sure. I mean, he says Arizona, but I think that's a code word.
Yes, for something else.
And then so today we've got really the male review. Hold on, Seth Erre, hold on, because I got to set this up. So Tim Timmons is at an interview, and we weren't sure if it's a job interview
or a
podcast
interview,
but he's got an interview.
or some interview for his movie or book.
Yeah.
When he starts talking movie book stuff, I kind of just
Yep.
blank
We'll just
out.
say, you know what? God bless you.
Yes,
Go be warm and well fed.
yes.
And Susie's not here today.
No,
Where's Suzie?
She's doing another podcast.
She's doing another podcast, which, let's be honest, no one blames her for making that choice.
Right. It tells you where Journey Now is in the priority
Let
list.
Jim stop.
Oh, I've got another podcast to do.
Yeah, sorry.
I won't be
Sorry.
there. Oh, okay. Yeah.
But I've got a couple of things. First of all,
Good. You got Seth.
Seth keeps trying to grab the microphone. Hold on a second. I'm doing my intro. First of all, hi to Uncle Brad, who was at church on Sunday. Uncle Brad, my
Was he
mom,
really?
his two kids, front row, mostly stayed awake.
Good job.
Mostly. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So shout out there, but also shout out to Daniel Jones, who just gave birth. And if you guys remember, we have a segment on the podcast. It's just called "It's Hard to Be a Man." And what are you doing, Sethy? Okay, well stop fighting me for the microphone. And I just want to say shout out to Daniel for the heavy lifting he did in bringing big shout out to your iPad, of course, which loves you and evidently has a more influence on you than I do. Sophia, who is not listening, and Violet Lonnie, who is the YouTuber that Seth has decided is going to marry him.
Okay.
Yes. So, great job.
Yes, thank you.
But
If you could have seen his face, eyebrows go up. Thank you.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
good. Oh, good.
That was good, Seth.
So shout out Daniel Jones.
Yes.
He checked in a little bit during labor, and he acknowledged that
He was having
they
a
don't
hard
pay-
time.
Yeah, they don't pay any attention to the husband.
That's right. No ice
And
chips,
so,
no nothing.
And so Daniel, great job.
Yeah.
All right, shout out Daniel. His wife Gabby was also involved, but let's be honest, Daniel really deserves more of the acknowledgement.
He made it.
Chris, have we asked you what's hard about being a man for you?
Oh man.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's a point.
Yeah.
It's a boy.
Okay.
It's a boy.
Yep, it is a boy. But is there something about being a man that really?
You're losing that mic.
Yep.
I mean, it's so hard. Like sometimes, like you have to take your clothing and put it into the hamper.
Yep.
And I just want to put it beside the bed, and it's hard. I mean, being honest.
Chris, I so appreciate that vulnerability.
Yeah.
Because let's be honest. I used to do laundry in 3 piles.
Yeah.
All right. So clean on the floor,
Clean
worn once
enough.
but still wearable, and then
Yeah. Should be laundered at
yes,
some point.
should be
Yeah.
laundered.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it wasn't until the intrusion of
Yes.
the microphone does not need a waffle theory that I realized, there are drawers, there are hampers, and there are ways of sorting
And folding.
and folding.
Yes.
And life is better with her.
Yeah.
But it's not perfect. And it's been a tough thing. Like I never knew what a duvet was.
Ooh.
Or
How hard it was to put onto your regular blanket.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
It's so hard.
Just so we're clear, I still don't know what to do.
No, I couldn't spell it.
It's like a sheet you put over your blanket.
Yeah, it's like a cover, right? You
Yeah.
put over a normal blanket to make it fancier.
In case your blanket gets cold.
Keeps your blanket warm.
Will!
Thank you. There it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, Edwin, what are you doing right
Thanks
now?
for clearing that
What are
up.
you
Will.
pushing?
Yeah.
Edwin was pushing a red button. all
Edit
of a sudden,
that.
And it was like, I don't know. Is it because Will's here, looking over your shoulder?
That's the sensor button.
I thought that's what. I thought he was like pushing this button, and there was red light on it, and I was like, oh no.
Oh.
And speaking of Edwin,
There's a lot of red lights over
and
there.
speaking of Edwin,
Yeah.
I get a text from Edwin, and it just says workout, pickleball, 600 calories.
Ooh.
Edwin, talk to us.
What does
Welcome
that
to
mean?
the cult. It
Are
means
you
he played
in?
pickleball.
All right.
That's all he said. He didn't say anything else. He just the snapshot of how your watch will
Yeah.
summarize a workout.
No, I don't. But hey,
like-
that's cool.
Pickleball. Yeah, hour and a half, bro. So let's go.
Outside, inside?
Let's go.
Outside. Way to go. Did you sweat? Yes.
Outside.
I walk outside in Tennessee and I sweat.
Yeah.
So,
All right. So
all right. It's
that
enough
was
of that.
great. Okay.
That's
Seth,
enough
do
of
you
it.
have anything else you want to say before we dive in?
Yes.
Okay, what do you got?
Big shout to Haley Timmons.
To Hillary Timmons.
Oh, Hillary.
Big,
Maybe interviewing for a new job.
big shout to Big shout to Miss Stina.
Mystina Erre, who has never listened.
Big shout to Mike.
Well, thank you.
And
And
big
big shout out to
shout-
Seth Erre.
Big shout to the Chris McClarney wife.
Yeah, Chris McClarney, wife.
McClarney's wife. Who exists, by the way. I've seen her
she's
one
awesome.
time.
She's awesome.
I've seen her one time.
Y'all pray for her.
She was
She's
racing
gonna
this
come back.
weekend.
She was racing this weekend?
She was.
Oh, let's talk about how hard it is to be a single dad.
Oh, it's so hard. Everybody left me alone. I had to play video games all day.
Oh, man.
And I had to
rough.
order food.
Oh, dang. All right, well,
Just grill some hot dogs.
yeah. No,
Hot dogs.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I like the hog. Yeah.
there it is. That's the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse theme, just for the record.
Mishka Mushka.
You
Mickey
Mickey
Mouse.
Mouse.
You
my
don't like
dude.
hot dogs?
I love hot dogs.
Yeah.
But, okay, where do you order from?
Oh, here we go.
Yeah. Be honest.
Okay, so my go-to.
Be honest.
You're gonna make fun of
You've
me.
you've been looking for that Taco Bell parasite.
No.
Haven't you? You want that you want that free 10
I
pounds.
do.
Bell parasite.
I
We're
do
gonna
the-
get sued, Mike.
Yeah, it's Taylor Farms parasite.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
Now we're really gonna get sued.
Okay. Well, not once they donated to the administration, then it was a false positive. But that's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. But
No,
go
that's
ahead.
great.
Go ahead.
My go-to order is the combo appetizer from O'Charlie's.
What is it? Okay.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
I
four.
want to know.
Yeah. Okay, here we go.
What is it?
It's 4 mozzarella cheese wedges
Oh,
Okay.
with the marinara sauce.
Well, of course.
Yeah, and they're deep
So-
fried.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Then you
Oh,
have
Charlie.
Come on.
like 4 or 5 chicken tendies,
Yep.
delicious,
Yep.
and then
Same dipping sauce? Different dipping sauce.
different dipping. That comes with honey mustard.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
And then what comes with the sour cream is potato skins that are filled with cheese and bacon.
Oh,
Have you
you're
done
gonna
blood
die
tests
like I'm
recently?
gonna die.
Yeah, well, we're all gonna die, brother. I'm gonna
Okay.
die a happy fat man.
That's fair. That's fair. And then what's the fourth element of the combo?
That's it.
Oh, that's
Oh,
three
three
elements.
It's a 3-element combo.
3-element combo.
Okay.
It looks like he's pushing the censor button again. It's driving me crazy.
See now, Charlie's is gonna want to be our sponsor.
So that's yes. For
Oh,
all
shout out O'Charlie's. Heck yes, me. Sponsor me.
Yeah, Chris, that sounds horrific, and I eat poorly. Even to me, that sounds.
I don't know the mozzarella sticks.
I mean, mozzarella sticks
I like
and they're
mozzarella.
wedges,
Yes.
so that makes them healthier.
Yes,
for
right.
sure. And then, okay, what's this for, Edwin?
I don't know, but it's your hat.
What's this for, Edwin?
It is a segment that I'm calling Will I Try It Again?
A segment called Will I Try It
Edwin-
Again?
Hold on, let's describe it because not everyone's watching on the YouTube.
Yes.
Yes.
Edwin has just handed us paper plates with red cups, red solo
A red,
cups.
a
Red
small
solo cups.
red solo
Small
cup.
one, yeah.
Oh
sort of
yeah,
kind of a solo
not the
shot
beer,
glass.
not the beer kind.
and turned upside down.
Yes.
And
So is it?
thank you, Seth. Here.
Is there a B in there?
I don't know what's in here.
Are we supposed to?
Called a Quenepas from Puerto Rico.
A Quenepas. Oh, it's
Okay.
a fruit from Puerto Rico.
Oh,
Oh.
mine's
Heck
green.
yes.
Oh.
Okay, so
Seth just grabbed mine.
it's the texture.
You lost your
Yep.
shirt.
It
is a
looks like,
small-
and it's the texture of a tiny lime.
Yes. Yes. I should call you Tiny Lime.
So
Tiny
what-
lime.
Okay, we got another one coming.
Yep. And so, ladies and gentlemen, for you listening, just audio only, this is not an impressive segment.
It has a big pit, so be careful.
It has a big
Do you
tip.
Are we
eat
supposed
the
to eat
skin?
this?
So you
Peel it.
So this is cultural. Okay, so we're peeling it off, guys.
I do it with my
Oh,
thumb.
it peels
look,
nice.
It peels nice.
It peels really nice.
I put it in between my cheek and my teeth
Gum?
and just
I do that with the Zims.
I was gonna say, is
Or
this
Zin?
a
Is
Zen?
it Zin?
it's
Or is it Zim?
it's an acquired texture. So
Yep. Tastes like shrimp that's been swallowed up and spit back out.
It's good.
I like it. Does it have any caffeinated properties?
I don't believe so.
Did you not try it, Seth Erie? No. Okay, so this is
kinda
a
gotta
Puerto
suck it.
Rican. He won't. Thank you for offer. Okay, so this
Suck
is
it.
Yes.
I am. I am. Okay.
Not sure.
It's good.
Oh, Will likes it.
It's a little bit like gum in that you have to keep
Yeah.
sucking to get all the fruit off.
Yep.
Yep. So we'll censor that.
Would you try it again?
Yeah, that wasn't bad.
I'd
It
eat
just
this.
it got a little jellyfishy at the end there.
Oh, whoa, service.
Jellyfish, exactly right. But Edwin, I like this. I like you are expanding. What's it called?
Quenepas.
Quenepas. Nice.
I'm not sure. Jury's out.
Jury's out.
I'm
I'd
a
eat
bit
it.
of a texture person.
I'd eat it.
Yeah, I'd do it again.
Would you?
I would.
You guys are adults.
I'm not going to do it again during the podcast. We're supposed to be talking with something between our cheeks
I
and gums.
love this segment, by the way.
Unless it's goal or something.
Can we do In and Out next time?
Yeah. There you go.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
I
Would
said,
you
can we
eat
do
this
In and
again?
Out?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring the combo appetizer next time. Y'all can answer the same question.
Lord, no. You know how they have that Hot Ones interview
yes, I
show
love
where they
that
do the
show.
wings. You should do an appetizer show where the appetizers just get more and more greasy and fried.
What
we
is
do that?
your takeout preference?
My takeout preference? Great question.
Yeah.
Let's see. We have for Seth Eatery, we do Sonic Sunday. So he gets a vanilla shake.
Oh, I like Sonic. I'm a fan.
My personal
guys could see Will.
takeout preference. We have a place near us called Guadalajara.
Yeah.
And they have this chicken and rice and cheese sauce mixture that I don't remember what I think they call it Happy Chicken, which was my nickname in college.
Yes.
And and it's really good.
Yeah.
And so sometimes it's like $9 free delivery. Let's go DoorDash. All right.
go.
What about you, Kev? You don't strike me as a man who orders out often.
I don't.
Okay, but if you were,
we have a Burger Republic
it's so
three
good.
blocks from our house.
oh, okay.
So it's the mushroom Swiss burger with sweet tots.
Oh, the
Sweet
sweet tots.
tots.
So these are sweet potato tots? Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness. Now, Seth here, give us a taste about how that waffle was. How was that waffle?
Good.
Okay, there it was.
That is still
It's
there.
all in there.
All right. You've heard of Audible. This is an edible podcast.
Oh,
Wow.
Yeah, this
Ladies
was
and
all
gentlemen,
about
today.
food today.
I don't think you can say that either, right?
So, yes, exactly right.
Yeah.
Yep. So we might as well, in the absence of
other things to talk about.
yeah, Will just gave us a double thumbs up. He senses a transition is incoming.
Yes.
So today,
Yes.
do we get any good questions on the text line? First of all,
Yeah. I
oh,
thought
great.
so. I thought
Okay,
so.
okay.
Yeah.
So we were.
There was one that was repeated, so we'll discuss that.
Perf.
one. But you want to give us an idea of
Just
what
an
you
idea?
Yeah. Did we have a service on Sunday?
you know what? We did.
We did.
It was a good one, but it was a service. Let's just be honest. Thank you, Seth Erie. And Seth Erie highlights, of course. Seth Erie did communion with Sam Barnhart. So there's
I didn't know
the
that.
body and blood of Christ right there.
I wasn't in there, so I didn't get to see
And
that.
he the
then
body?
a bit of a
Yeah.
Shema. We did a bit of a Shema, didn't we?
Yep,
with
and
our
you
cousin
explained
Maddie?
it.
Yeah, so Seth Theory wanders. He starts out in youth until Rob starts talking, and then he gets up and leaves.
Yes.
And then he goes down to the family room, hangs out, flops until communion.
Yes, that guy.
Like Will
Where does?
Will does. Does Will do that too?
Yes.
And then
Yeah,
we
Will.
come in for communion,
Yes.
and then we listen to worship, and then we
We Simone.
do the Shema.
Yes.
That's a Seth Theory Sunday, ladies and gentlemen.
With Maddie.
We did with our cousin Maddie, huh? Which
Yes.
was so fun. Who does not at all know the Shema, or he was a very good partner in that, but I'm not sure he was prepared for what the Shema required. Anyway,
That happens.
it happens.
It does, and it's okay.
So we were talking about an aspect of living into the life of the kingdom. How does God guide us? We've talked about discernment, which is a very close cousin, but guidance is often about non-moral decisions,
Right.
where we're not discerning right and wrong. We're trying to decide between right and left. Should I go this way or that way? Regarding jobs, regarding houses, regarding spousal units,
Yep.
all the things.
Yep.
And so, yes, it's floppy time, ladies and gentlemen. It's floppy,
Floppy time.
That's right. Yeah. Censor that. What are the things that?
But you broke it down into like you had
had
3 wills of God.
We did. And
Yeah.
No, I didn't even do it. It was somebody else who did it, and I thought it was wonderful.
But
there are 3 Ds.
3 Ds, which
Yes.
is
Yes, it was hard to make.
which was
not
my
make
report
Ds
card.
Nuts.
Which was my report card in high school.
Jokes in
Yes.
the middle of 3 Ds. That's funny. That's funny. So God's will of decree.
Your report card.
Yes, God's will of decree is what God wills happens.
Yep.
Right? Let there be light. There was light.
Yep.
God's will of desire. Hey guys, can we not murder each other? How about we don't gossip?
Yeah.
How about we just stop stealing?
And lying.
Yes, and lying. So
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
God desires for people for their flourishing, and then God's will of direction, which is usually what we mean when we talk about God's will. Does God have a plan, a specific plan for my house, marriage, vocation, college? that I'm supposed to discern, and if I miss it, I miss out on God's best. And so there's a lot of fear-based thinking in that,
For
and
sure.
a lot of, at least for me, a lot of spooky sort of voodoo approaches to
Yeah.
like, well, I do fleeces, reverse
Right.
fleeces.
Which we had that question on Sunday.
Yes, we
Which
did.
I was glad someone asked.
Somebody
'cause
asked about Gideon?
They,
Did
they
they?
brought up the fleece and
That's Gideon.
yeah.
Yeah. Yes. And so that's a great example
Of not listening when God says this is what you're supposed to do.
Well, that's fair. Yep, the Gideon example. I don't know is I don't think it's a positive example.
think it is either.
We read that as a positive example, and I don't think the ancients would have seen that as a positive.
I know what I'm
example.
going to do. I'm going to question God.
Yeah,
that's what I'm
multiple
going to do
times.
multiple times.
Now,
Oops.
but as a person that wants to
Fleece somebody.
follow God, not fleece people.
Okay.
That's my evil twin.
Yeah.
That's Chris
Chris.
McClarney.
Chris Clarney, his name. Yes,
Tom Thomas.
perfect. Yeah. Chris Clarney, Tom Tommins, Kevin or Heaven.
It's hard. It's hard because God sounds like me talking to myself sometimes in my own head. Like,
Well, that's
and obviously we
have Journey on My Mind for that.
right. Well, we've been going through practices that have been
Yeah.
so good, especially about listening, trying to hear the voice of God. I think what I find when this subject comes up is people are like, how do I know it's God? As opposed to how do I know this is a me idea or a good idea that the pastor that I thought was a good guy, but turns out he's not, had for me.
Right.
Ooh.
Is
Are
that
you-
where,
you gonna
is that
text
a
that in?
question,
It's kind
or
of
is
a
that
question.
Are you
okay.
Can you text that in?
Yeah, I'll text it in.
Yeah. That was like my sweet wife, right in the middle of like. At
I
the
have a
beginning.
question.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
she raises her hand and says, "Hey, I texted something to you. Haven't answered it yet." And I'm like,
Yeah,
"Bro,
it was good.
so sweet, Justy Bear." Okay,
Well,
let's
I'm
talk about that. How do I recognize the voice of God? Which we weren't getting into as much. I was trying to focus on
Well,
sort of
we
the
had
way
gotten
of
into
wisdom.
that a few weeks ago.
Yes.
So that's not a knock on your sermon. It's just one of the things.
Are
So
we
let
done?
let me rephrase this point of conversation for those who are new to the podcast. Instead of finding something notable in talking about what happened the last weekend, we're going back several weeks to reflect on Susie's thought. First of all, I don't blame you. Secondly, I'm sure it was better. Thirdly, that's a really good question that people have around this.
It is.
Absolutely.
I think it's yeah.
So, how do you know if it's God? For me,
For me.
the voice of Jesus sounds a lot like Kevin. It's either, man, that was great, or get off my lawn.
Yes.
There's no middle ground.
I think you spoke to it on Sunday, though. I think you did speak to how you discern.
little bit.
I think so.
Well, what did I say?
What'd you say?
What did I say?
Well, I think in understanding or hearing God versus hearing myself in my head, some people don't hear any of that. So there isn't just this one way of discerning this, and I think it goes back to discernment, but it also goes to wisdom. So you know it's not God if it goes against his moral will.
Yeah.
You know it's not God.
Yeah.
I recently talked to somebody who's decided they're going to get divorced and they're going to move in a totally different direction, and they're trying to discern whether that was from God or not. I got you on this one, right? Because, but some people actually do wonder.
For sure.
God was speaking in my head, and it's telling me to go and pursue a different person rather than my spouse.
Yeah.
Well, that's not God.
Fair.
Something else.
Yeah.
Someone else.
Yes.
And we won't talk any further about that. But there is, so those moral choices, and you use the phrase of the grain of the universe.
Yes.
Which we have some grain here.
Yep.
And if you go this way, smooth. Go this way, not as smooth.
Right.
And so there is this built-in understanding in the universe of how God designed it. This is how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And when we counter that, pretty sure it's not God.
Totally.
So, and then there are just the idea of the, love your neighbor. If what I'm hearing in my head somehow hurts my neighbor or somehow allows me to exercise revenge against somebody or hold a grudge or all those things, pretty sure it's not God. So 90% of the time, maybe even more, pretty sure you can tell whether it's God's voice in your head or not based upon what we know God's character is, based upon his directions, based upon the grain of the universe, all of those things. And then there's like the 5% of the time where we go, I think he really wants me to buy that truck. And I heard,
I don't know. I say yes.
Yeah, well, it could be. Could be.
Totally.
Or whatever. Or I think where we more get hung up rather than cars or trucks, it's more like, does God want me to move to some other place? Is he calling me into ministry? Is this the woman I'm supposed to marry or whatever? So that's where being a man gets really difficult.
Thank you.
But there is this.
That's right. And we're back.
Yes. But there is this, okay, so what do we do to discern that?
Yeah.
Or what do we do in those moments? Yeah. I know what I do as I talk to other people that know more than I do.
For sure.
That's A. Yeah. Some people, and sometimes it's just around, okay, if this was you, what would you do? And apparently moving to Arizona is one of the answers.
He'll never hear this.
I know, but I just let him know. Apparently that's one of the answers I'm going to move to Arizona. But I would say I seek out wise counsel, and you spoke to this on Sunday. You seek out somebody who's been there, done that. Totally. Somebody who's open-handed in there. But I'm not sure if there's a moral overtone to the decision that God's really, he's like, okay, move there. Fine. Move to Arizona.
Yeah.
And I'll be there with you. But somebody might say, hey, you're flourishing here. Why don't you stay here? Or whatever.
Yeah.
All those things come into play, but you're free to do those things. Whether it's a God thing or a you thing, I'm not sure is really matters if it doesn't go against his moral will.
And I love that freedom that you kind of gave my brain when you brought that up. And you, if you listen to the sermon, he listed a bunch of just like scriptures that I'd call like filler scriptures. But but what it did was
there's a mouse in here. I just got attacked on my foot.
Uh-oh. A squeaky little mouse.
I know it was you.
Oh, was it Seth?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, he was quick to take credit.
But Mike, you listed out things that kind of proves that like Paul was like, I want to go to wherever. And he just went. So.
Or he was blocked.
Or yeah. But the idea that and this is one of those things I heard in my own head one time. This was 10 years ago. And I do think it was God. Is I had just left a job and I was in that like, God, I want to do, what is your will for my life? What do you want me to do?
Yeah.
And it's only a couple of times where I felt like I was like, oh, I think that was God that just said that. I felt like he said, what do you want to do?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, we're putting too much pressure on the idea that like, if we do something that's not God's will, then he'll never be able to use me. And God has a perfect plan for me. And it's a real narrow path and it's so hard to stay on. And I need to get him to tell me, yes, take one more step. But that's not the walk with Jesus at all. He's walking with you wherever you go. It's like, that's the walk with Jesus. And the freedom that you gave just reading like scriptures that don't have any kind of spiritual, like emotional impact at all.
That was just Paul saying,
Yeah.
I'm going to decide to do this.
Yes.
And if you get divorced or if your husband dies,
Marry who
you're
you
free
want.
to marry anyone you wish.
Yeah.
As long as they're a believer.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, you just sort of skip over that.
Well, there is a qualifying phrase there.
There is. And that's what you were speaking to, Kev. So
Yeah.
so he offers moral guidance,
Yeah.
which is, hey, these are modes of life, postures, attitudes, actions that are congruent with the kingdom that's here and is coming. There is guidance that is sovereign guidance. In other words, that even in the decisions we make, good or bad ones, God is the master chess player who can weave everything for good.
Yeah.
No matter how ridiculous.
And we
dumb it
won't
is.
even know
won't
that
even know
till we
that.
look back.
Exactly. You never know this ahead of time.
Right.
But God does offer wisdom,
Yeah.
guidance in non-moral decisions, which is what Kevin's talking about. And we were talking about the idea of becoming the kind of person who is safe to do whatever they want. And that's the way of wisdom. That you're the kind of person that seeks first the kingdom, seeks wise counsel, prayerful, all the things. You built a character and a relationship with God where God exactly would just say, okay, well, great, do what you want here. And that's what an image bearer was meant to be. That's the original goal. But I would add one thing to what Kevin was saying about, there are instances where God speaks uniquely. And it can be an impression. I had a time when I was choosing between, I thought it was careers, but it was actually idols. I was choosing between whether I would worship God or worship money. And there was a passage that just came to mind with such authority. You cannot serve both God and money.
Right.
And it was like, I had no doubt where that came from. So there are times, I think, when God does speak, but the key is that God always sounds like Jesus. Always. And so if you're not familiar with what Jesus sounds like, you're not going to recognize him. Jesus never condemns. Jesus never accuses. Jesus never speaks guilt or shame or makes people afraid. Jesus will convict, you bet, but that's way different than guilt. And so one of the surest ways to begin to hear God's voice, listen to the voice that's already spoken. And that's what Kevin's talking about.
Yes.
Love your neighbor.
Yes.
It's God's will that you should avoid sexual immorality. It's God's will that you should be thankful. It's God's will. I mean, you live not perfectly, but into that. And as you live into the bigger things, the smaller things become more discernible and clearer. The other thing is immerse yourself in the Gospels. I can't say it enough.
Yeah.
Just here's what Jesus sounds like.
Yeah.
Like the only way I could describe my mom's voice to you is if you heard her. I could do my best to use words to describe it. But until you heard her voice yourself, you would never have anything to measure it against. And so we have Jesus's voice captured in the text of Scripture. And so immerse yourself there so that you can measure anything else that's coming your way against the voice that you know.
That's so good.
You're so good.
My question, so that's so good.
Well, you're good. Let's just repeat ourselves.
So like Timothy, when Paul's writing to Timothy, and basically he's telling him, like, don't let him look down on you because you're young. Give him this message, which is, you guys are teaching stuff that was taught to you by demons. You're deceived. Yeah. And the bummer about being deceived is you don't know you're deceived.
Right.
Fair.
Yeah.
So it's like, I think part of in that question is, how do you avoid the deception of, because there are a lot of voices claiming to be God in this world. A lot of people that are like, God told me to tell you this.
Yeah, that's one of the questions.
Oh, okay.
Oh, look at me.
Let's
Let's
so
go to
finish
that
your
question.
thought, and then let's go to that question.
No, that was my question.
No, go for it.
How do you navigate deception, especially when it sounds so close?
Yeah.
It's like so close. The wisdom of the world and the wisdom of God sound so close, but they're polar opposite.
Yeah. And how do you, and the question is, it's kind of in this idea of how are we to respond to people who talk about knowing God's will with authority when it doesn't seem like it quite lines up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I thought,
That's
that's what
genius.
you're saying, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it sounds right.
Well, how many books are there that tell you this is how you do Christian life?
It's the phrase where, I remember the first time I heard it, somebody said to me, God only helps those who help themselves.
Oh, gosh.
And I sat in that for a minute, and I'm like, is that true?
Yeah.
Is that really? Sounds right.
Yeah.
While I was still in sin, Christ died for me.
Yeah, not helping me at all, right? Yeah,
but not helping.
But that phraseology, you're putting into practice something that the enemy would really like you to believe.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Sure. God's only going to help you if you help yourself.
Right.
Right.
So there are two wonderful and entwined issues that I'm hearing from you guys that are just genius, and I love.
Let's do
an all skate.
All skate.
Do the hokey pokey
and turn yourself around.
So on the one hand, how do we recognize the patterns of this world versus the transformation of the renewing of your mind?
Yes.
So there's that discernment, because sometimes the patterns of this world, because they're natural and it's the water we're in, we're not aware that we're in water.
Yep.
If you're a fish, you don't know that there's non-water, so you don't know that there's water. And so we're just immersed in the patterns of this world.
Yep.
So that's one section. Another section is, how do you handle people who are sure that they know God's will, not just for them, but for you or whatever. Mm-hmm. Let's deal with the second one first, because that's a little easier. Ignore them. So here's what I do. And I used to get this a lot. I'm sure you guys have, where people would say to me, God gave me a word for you.
Yeah.
And initially, I would be like, well, I think if God's going to speak to me, I'm right here and I have a close circle of friends. He doesn't need you to do that. But as I matured into life in the Spirit, I realized there is a spiritual gift that is sometimes referred to as prophecy or words of knowledge, where God can speak directly through another to you. Mm-hmm. And so I wanted to not overcorrect, mm-hmm. but be open. So a buddy of mine just said, hey, anytime you get a word like that, that's an opportunity for intercession, meaning that somebody says, hey, God told me to tell you this. I just bring that before God and say, if that's from you, would you confirm that from 2 or 3 different sources? And if not, I'm not going to pay any attention to it. In fact, I'll just forget it right now. I don't even so ignore it legitimately. Mm-hmm. But before I ignore it, I say, God, if this is something that you want me to pay attention to, would it come to me through their sources? There have been a couple of times when that's been true. The vast majority of it's just nonsense. Or it's well-intended. Mm-hmm. Hey, I hope this helps. The words I trust when people approach me are words that come like this. Hey, I don't know if this is God or not, but when I was thinking about you, I had this I had this picture that came to mind.
Yes.
Man, I can receive that all day long because it's tempered by maturity and humility.
Yeah.
Anybody who comes up in pride or self-righteousness and
with authority
and and certainty, I immediately discount and mistrust.
Yeah.
And so, but hiding behind all of that is, do you believe that God, if he does want you to know something, is good enough to tell you, or is he the kind of God who hides and makes you work for it? Mm. And that's where I'm like, I just think that our whole obsession with God's will of direction really betrays, a low view of what God's like. I think God wants me to flourish, and he wants to talk to me, and I have a part to play in being receptive to that.
Yeah.
Right.
But there are times if God really wants my attention, he gets it. So you know what I mean? Like, there have been moments of deep-seated conviction.
Like that time God sent that dude to David who was like, let me tell you this story.
Yeah. Hypothetically, I have a friend.
Like, I know this guy.
Exactly.
Yeah, and
so I'm open to
he didn't want to go either.
I'm open to hearing from God through other people.
Right.
But the delivery system, if it's power, authority, control, then I'm automatically suspicious. If it's humility and curiosity, then I take it before the Lord and I say, Lord, if this is something that's true, would you confirm it in some other way? Yeah. There have been a couple of times that's happened, most not. You guys want to add anything to that part?
Yeah, I was going to say a joke, but I'll pass on that. The other side of that coin is not only who's coming at you, but are you willing to receive? Is your heart open to the idea that you can receive something from somebody who you wouldn't normally receive from?
For sure.
And I'm really skeptical of that stuff because I had somebody in my life that was like all about it, and
there's a lot of abuses of it.
Yeah, and so I'm open-minded enough to go, okay, but it also speaks to the fact that maybe I'm not paying attention in other arenas, because I think God speaks in multiple ways to us.
So for instance, if you're not paying attention over here in the normal sorts of revelation categories,
I need to send somebody to this guy,
right?
Which then challenges my own. Yeah. I'm missing something. And that's where I sit in it for a while.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just that somebody came and said something to me.
Right.
It's more like, and sometimes it's a character thing. Sometimes it's
for sure.
And it
doesn't even have to be from God. It can just be, hey, I observed this.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Are you the kind of person that receives wisdom and honest speech from others?
Right.
That's a great point.
Even when it's unsolicited.
Yeah.
There is.
I have thoughts.
Oh, okay. The red shirt
looks great. Go ahead.
How about you?
Oh gosh, I was just going to add that I think it's good. Christians need to be wiser. That's it. I think it's good to point out that it's pretty obvious.
Just a blanket statement.
Like, it's pretty
Christians
obvious.
need to be wiser.
But I love that you're bringing that up and kind of encouraging people to be thoughtful and wise about the words you listen to.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
And also, if you are going to be the messenger, this is what Mike was saying.
Yes.
If God has impressed upon you to say something to one of us, just be open-handed about it.
Yeah.
And it's not up to you whether we receive it or not.
I will say, growing up, I was taught that saying GD was using the Lord's name in vain. I think this is what using the Lord's name in vain is.
Correct.
Misuse of,
I don't
it's attaching God's name. The Hebrew phrase literally means attaching God's name to something that's empty.
Right.
Yeah.
I.e., God only helps those who help themselves.
Totally.
Or God told me to tell you, you need to stay at this church and not move to Arizona.
Yes. Grant.
Yes.
Exactly.
God told me.
Man, God did tell me that, Grant.
Exactly. But the other side of this, to your point about being more wise, is the discernment of what are the patterns of this world, and what are the upside down patterns of the kingdom.
Right.
Yes.
And there are true norths that I live by.
Right.
One is God's wisdom is always cross-shaped. It is always upside down, power under, sacrificial. It's the George Costanza, if you remember Seinfeld, where there was one episode, right? When George was like, I'm just going to do the opposite of every impulse I have, and his life turns around.
Yes.
It's amazing. And it's kind of like, yes. Exactly right.
You got it now, George.
That's discipleship.
Yes.
Take every impulse you have and turn it around.
George died to himself.
Yes. He did.
I mean, and I remember thinking, this is years ago. I remember thinking that's it. That's actually, so the upside down kingdom is always going to be cross-shaped, and God's wisdom is always cross-shaped. God's wisdom is always, it always looks and sounds like Jesus of Nazareth. And so I'm just, again, back to the Gospels. I mean, I'm annoying this way.
I've always thought and noticed that God's wisdom is never the wisdom of this world. It's like so far out. Like, God's wisdom is, we've got like 600 people. All right, I want you to get rid of everyone that drinks weird. And then
we're back to Gideon.
And then I want you to hide lights under a thing. Or God's wisdom is, let's send the one dude out to fight the giant. God's wisdom,
the littlest one we can find.
Like, his wisdom is so opposite. It almost looks like foolish.
That's Paul's point in 1 Corinthians.
Yes.
God's wisdom is wiser than
Yes.
human wisdom because it looks like foolishness.
Yeah.
And so, so weakness, vulnerability, tenderness, gentleness. I mean, you just like those are roadmaps
Right.
for discerning.
This is the worldliness creeps into the church, and we were talking about institutional creep. Anyway, nickname in high school. But
Kevin said that was his nickname in high school. Institutional creep.
That's so good.
They're my 3Ds.
yeah. Anyway, but
That's so good.
I worked with somebody in the church for a while who was he was constantly trying to figure out how to monetize everything, how to figure out how not to be dependent upon the free giving of people, how to work the system in such a way that, well, I think we can monetize that. I think we can monetize that. And when you hear somebody you respect start to talk like that, you start to question your own thinking. And I was like, I would often say, I'm not sure we're supposed to monetize everything. I hear myself saying that out loud. To the everybody's doing it.
Yeah.
And once I heard everybody's doing it, I'm like, whoa, okay.
There it is.
Yeah. That's where I went.
That's the
then we need to stop.
Yeah.
We need to stop.
Because that's not cross-shaped.
Right. It was just
and there's wisdom. I mean, we rent out our building.
Sure.
So there's great wisdom.
Yeah.
In being wise financially.
Yeah.
I love that. But
Yeah.
this is different.
Right. It was, how do we, never mind. But it just turned, everything was like, can we monetize that?
Yeah.
And I'm like,
but it speaks to the point you're making, which is, I lived through a segment of evangelicalism where being the leader of a church meant you were a CEO and your board was a board of trustees, a board of like a nonprofit board.
Yeah.
And I taught that, lived that, rearranged boards, lived as a senior pastor in that sort of realm. And for us, it was what was normal.
It was the water.
It was the water.
Yeah.
And then you look back at it and go, my Lord, were we insane? I mean, what a corruption. So the biggest thing about discernment is if the discernment is always about somebody else and never you, then it's not discernment. It's self-righteousness.
Right.
The way I've learned is that God reveals the water that we're swimming in.
Yeah.
And you'll just wake up one day and go, oh, I had no idea that this was the power structure or the ideology. Because Paul's really clear, powers and principalities are different than unclean spirits. So the things taught by demons are ideas or patterns of life. They work at structural levels. And so we have to constantly be instigating and being curious about the patterns of life that we're receiving from American culture. And often what happens is, in really gullible Christian circles, is that we stop discerning at the is it Christian or not.
Right.
And then we're super gullible to anything that's labeled Christian. Like some political environments hypothetically existing in the world today.
Hypothetically. Just saying.
Yeah. And so there is a sense in which the job of the community is to interrogate. That's why Paul will say test prophecy, test all of them and hold on to the good. So I think that is a worthy call for us in all kind of ways.
Yeah.
Seth Theory, what do you got?
We got
close it?
I'm gonna put a bow on it.
All right, let's put a bow on it, Seth Theory. Let's go. What do you got for us? What do you got?
We got Mr. Shema.
What?
Yes.
Okay, do it.
Yes.
If you've never been to our church, the 11 o'clock service ends.
Oh, I'm in the clock service. Yep.
Yep.
11 o'clock.
Right. Shema, Israel, Adonai, Elohim, Adonai, Echad. Hey, Israel, I want God, I want to run. wherever we go to our hearts, soul, mind, and strength, and remember ourselves. Amen.
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 Great job, Seth.
It is so much harder to do without the lyrics on the screen.
Not for him.
Yes.
He's got it.
He's got it.
Who's good?
He's got it.
We're praying for you, Daniel.
Yep.
I can pay for your fight, Ronnie.
Oh, there
And you, Grant.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Journey Now. If for some bizarre reason you liked it, help us spread the word by leaving a review and sharing it on your socials. Journey Now is a production of Journey Church in Brentwood, Tennessee. Edwin Rivera III produces the show and fixes all the guest slurping, gum chewing, coughing, and other annoying sounds. Randy Hansen provides technical assistance even though he denies it. Grant Opperman edits Journey Now and intervenes when necessary to tell the crew that you can't say that. Special shout out to dear listener Brad Erre and dear YouTube watcher Seth Erre. If there's anyone else who makes it through each week, we're so sorry, and thanks to you too.